Thank you all for joining me on this journey today. These are your 500 seconds of resilience. This is your daily urgency meeting to get a deeper understanding of your own resilience. Not how I define it, how you define it for yourself. Today's topic, the original of the graft. The original of the graft. In our daily lives, whether in business or in play or just in our casual observations of life, we have positive words, positive statements, observations. Versus or alternatively, we can use negative, bad, persistent news of fear and distress and stress and desperation. Now, positive thinking and observations seem to pale when compared to the habits that most of us subscribe to on a daily basis, just as a habit. Because they're so easy to repeat, and they're safe because typically no one will question that accepted mainstream behavior. That immediate gratification and temporarily veiled pleasure that I get from doing things that are inane or mundane or really innocent, no one ever sees because it's behind closed doors. But I know it's not a thing to do, but it's so easy to do it. And a quick diversion make me feel better. But then when I do that, this is me speaking to you, that makes me shrink away from and hide from the truth of the moment. The harder truth, the harder task, instead of defaulting to the easier out. But if we consider the longer term and sustainable side of doing the right thing in the face of the easy thing that goes against our own personal grain, the natural original surface and source of us tends to bristle at that. But then, like me, I ignore that and push on to the instant gratification side of me. But we start the personal and private, yet publicly approved grafting of ourselves when we do that. When we shy away from the truth and dive head first into that pleasure that we know is against our original design. I know, for me personally, it's difficult to even considering that I am performing this thing called self-destruction. But I would plead with you to really observe the words you use as I have to do for myself. Those words that we use regularly without thinking or even taking time to observe them and without defining them. So just consider that before you automatically and repeatedly use those words that are, I've used them before, they know me like this, they accept me. But before you say them going forward, and before you throw them at anyone indiscriminately, take time to define that for you, not just in your head, in your heart, not just in your head, but in your heart. But then to throw those words, those indiscriminate words, and those throwaway statements and, it's just something to say. And then you turn around and say, oh, sorry, didn't mean that. It's too late. It's already out. That thing called karma and fate will visit you unexpectedly. Someone told me that karma is not this ethereal, magical fluff out there that floats around and whatever you do comes back to you. Someone said it very clearly and explained karma is just that, is the doing, what you do, not the impression you perform. It's the doing part. So in this case, what you do is saying something that you didn't mean, doesn't mean it won't come back to revisit you. Now, those words are not just in the flowery or destructive parts of an exchange you have when you joust with people on a sport, on a political statement, work, whatever, the words we use come out on the surface as the expression of what you have chosen to drive your own personal interests, or just what you've gotten used to saying and doing. And you can say, oh, not my fault, it's just my nature, that's who I am. But right back to that resilience reference called intention. Those words indicate your intention on the surface, but it comes from a deeper part of you. That either by default, that's what you've grown accustomed to doing, but haven't taken the time to redefine, refine, or edit what those things mean to you. As I said early on in these episodes, and definitely in the book, take the time to go deeper into who you are. Not a whole, excavation of who you are, but take the time to see, who are you? What do you enjoy doing? What are you good at doing? That should help you to refine who you are. I was defining at the beginning of these discussions about your beauty, your presence. And of course now, taking those two words, your beauty and your presence, what do you produce from that? I'm trying to encourage you to get to the point of knowingly versus unknowingly doing what you do. If at your core you have decided to lie, cheat, and steal from others, you're going to do that to yourself. And it's going to revisit you also, to and from your original self. To lie, cheat, and steal from yourself, no, normally you would want to do that. Unknowingly, perhaps many of us fall or succumb to that. Now, I did not create that observation. I received that experience from the hallowed halls of West Point, the United States Military Academy. And also I learned that from the teachings in Islam. The West Point credo, when I was there, was to not lie, cheat, or steal, nor tolerate those who do. From Islam, the consequences of lying, cheating, and stealing to and from your original self. From both seemingly disparate corners of reason, the same process of denying the truth and stating your original self in the face of adversity and publicly approved shame and guilt and enforced compliance. Both are tendencies and are examples of surrendering. Both of those aspects. To you, leading yourself as a follower to something outside of you and other destruction of that thing or person that you identify as the object of your fear and ego, the lie, the cheat, the steal. Instead of doing that, take the longer road and journey. Speak positive. Observe with love and patience and yes and production. Like the unthinking I mentioned before, observation. So unthink and consider ungrafting as well. Thank you for considering this perspective, a departure from maybe something different, but hopefully it inspires and excites you and doesn't disappoint you going forward in your understanding of where resilience truly comes from. Thanks again. Stay present. Stay current. It is always a 20.